So we're sitting in the cockpit of a Cessna 172, and here is the six-pack, the most important instruments in the cockpit. And if I press Shift 8, I'll walk out in the edge of the airplane. And if I click on the cross and I move the cursor up and down, the elevators will move up and down. Same if I go to right or the left, the ailerons and the rudder will move to the right or the left, causing the pitch, roll, and yaw. Now that we're back in the cockpit, I'll take the controls. I put a little bit of rudder to the right because of the slipstream. I take the brakes out and I push the throttle. So we're starting to gain airspeed. V1, rotate. Positive climb. As we can see, the altimeter is showing us that we are getting higher in altitude. Airspeed remains constant, so we pause it. I pause it, and now we're gonna reload our airplane up in the sky and in the approach 3 miles away from the runway. Right. It's a post, so I depose it. So we're currently flying at flight level 14 and with an airspeed of 90 knots. So if I push down the nose, as we can see, the altimeter will show us that the altitude is decreasing and that the airspeed it's increasing. The horizontal horizon will show us that we're pointing out to the ground. And vice versa, if I climb, right, if I pull out the rudder, elevator, sorry. So as we can see, the altitude is increasing. The horizontal horizon is showing us that we're pointing out to the sky, and the airspeed has decreased. £296. So we set the payload on the simulator. Brakes off. Throttle max power. We do small corrections for the rudder to stay in the center. If you want to rotate, positive climb. And now, well, by zooming in and out in this graph, I need to see the exact point where the 3 landing gears are up in the sky, so that they have no force to the towards the ground. And here we are. So the distance traveled in the runway is 1,057 feet, and the rotational speed is 73.74 miles per hour. 1,600 pounds. I said in the settings. So So brakes are off, throttle max power, small rudder corrections to stay in the center line of the runway. V1, rotate, positive climb, and in the second case, the distance traveled in the runway for takeoff is 1,637 feet, and the airspeed is 85.65 miles per hour. 900 pounds set in the simulator. Brakes off, full power. Small corrections. V1, rotate. Positive climb. And in the third case, the distance traveled in the runway for takeoff is, let me see, so it's 2,145 feet, and the airspeed is 88.38 miles per hour. So for the third lesson, I'm going to focus on the airspeed shown in top left and the lift arrows that are these green lines. So now I'm going to climb without touching the throttle for 3 seconds. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so as we can see, the true airspeed has decreased more or less 20 knots, and the arrows have shortened a little bit. Okay, and if we continue climbing without touching the throttle, we will arrive to the stall. So there's no lift. We need to gain airspeed, so point the nose down, and at 80 knots we level the aircraft. So for the first part of the lesson 4, I'll be flying level for 3 seconds with the landing gear retracted, and I will observe the airspeed. So the landing gear is retracted, and our true airspeed is around 158 knots. And now I will deposit and I will lower or deploy the landing gear. So by doing this, the drag will increase, and the true airspeed will decrease to 148 knots. And for the second part of the lesson 4, I will be flying 3 trials with both my flaps up and the flaps down, and I'll be measuring the true airspeed in knots, the lift wing 1 and the drag wing in 1 in newtons. As you can see, this part of the video is speed up so that we can see the 6 trials without getting bored. So, in lesson 5, we are landing on the runway 16 left in Seattle Airport, but this time without any flaps. Okay, so I keep the wings level and I maintain the airspeed around 85 knots. So the engine runs around 1,600 RPM, and I need to watch also my altimeter and my vertical speed indicator, as well as the PAPI, what that stands for Precision Approach Path Indicator. So when it's all red, we are too low on our approach. When it's all white, we are too high on our approach. And when it's half red and half white, it's the sweet spot. So we need to maintain in that flight path. And we can change the altitude by increasing or reducing the throttle. Okay, so now we're approaching the runway. Now it's time to flare. Okay. Flare. Okay. Touchdown and brakes for full stop. And now, in this second time, I'm landing the same place, 3 miles away from the Seattle airport, but this time with full flaps. So the airspeed is going to be less, and I'm going to run the RPM to around 1,500 RPMs, and I try to keep the wings level and the flight path by seeing the PAPI lights. Okay. Now we're in a good path. So as we approach more the runway, I'm gonna do small corrections so that it's softer, the touchdown. Flare and touchdown. Brakes for full stop. And that's it. In this video, we're gonna play with the center of gravity and see how it affects to the flight stability. So we're gonna establish and maintain level flight for 3 seconds, and in 3 different trials for each set of the center of gravity. And we're gonna record the elevator deflection appearing in the cockpit window. So firstly, we're gonna set the center of gravity at minus 16.4 inches, so that this shifts the center of gravity as far back as possible. And we're also gonna set the payload at maximum value, so that with larger payload we can see more easily the changes, okay, of the center of gravity. So in the first set, with the center of gravity in minus 16.4, the elevator deflection average is going to be minus, and exactly it's going to be minus 12.21. Okay, and in the second section, with the center of gravity at 21.2 inches, the average value is going to be positive, but not a great value. So it's going to be around the average is going to be 0.287. in lesson 7 I'm gonna take off the 50 feet wingspan plane, and we're gonna, in 3 trials, the average runway we need it's 440 feet, and also with an average of 60 knots of takeoff. The second plane is a 10 feet wingspan plane. For this one we're gonna need 3,988 feet runway in average and 120 knots. For the landing, we're gonna land both planes, and the 50 feet wingspan plane it's easier to land because the wings generate more lift, making it slower and more stable approach. As we can see, it's easier to make smaller corrections, and the touchdown is really easy and soft as well. So we can call it water. Whereas with the other plane, the 10 feet wingspan plane, the wing is stiffer and is more maneuverable, but the descent is less stable and it's difficult to touch down due to the high velocity. This lesson we're gonna see what is the wing loading and how does it affect to the flight. So the wing loading is the ratio of the plane's gross weight divided by the surface of the area of the wing. So in 3 different models of aircraft, changing its maximum weight and wingspan and chord, we're gonna see how does it affect in the takeoff, and we're gonna measure the distance we need to get the airplane to the skies. So in the first model the wings are really small, okay, and the maximum weight it's well, the total weight is 2,500. Then in the second plane we increase the wingspan and we decrease the chord, and we leave the weight as the same as before, 2,500. And for the third model we're gonna increase the wingspan and the chord, and as well as the weight to up to 10,000. So as we can see, well, in the first model the takeoff distance, the average of the takeoff distance is 3,182 feet. For the second airplane is 1,410 feet, and for the third one is 4,641 feet. In this lesson we will explore how increasing the horsepower of a plane will affect the performance in flight. So the horsepower is a measure of power, and it's created when the engine converts the potential energy in the fuel to the kinetic energy of the moving pistons, and then spinning the blades, acting like a set of wings. So we're gonna use 3 sets of planes with different horsepower, weight and wingspan, and we're gonna play with these values so that we can see some results. Firstly, the first plane has 150 horsepower, total weight of 2,500 pounds, and a wingspan of 30 feet. In the second plane we're gonna use 300 horsepower, a total weight of 2,750 pounds, and wingspan of 15 feet. And for the last plane we're gonna use 600 horsepower, a total weight of 3,000 pounds, and a wingspan of 60 feet.